All right, good morning. Welcome to Thurston County Board of County Commissioners Agenda Setting Work Session for Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. It is 9:03. We cleaned our clocks up there. 9:03 a.m. My name is Ty Menser, Chair of the Board. To my left, Vice Chair Commissioner Wayne Fournier, Commissioner Emily Klaus, Commissioner Rachel Grant, Commissioner Carolina Mejia, participating virtually, County Manager Leonard Hernandez, Assistant County Managers Jennifer Walker and Josh Cummings, Clerk of the Board Amy Davis. The meeting is recorded and will be posted to the Thurston County YouTube channel within 24 hours. Written public comment may be received up to 2 hours in advance of the meeting and distributed to the board. Action may be taken at this meeting. First up on the morning's work session agenda is a second review of this afternoon's business agenda. We did have a couple of items for follow-up. I know there was a couple of emails related to those requests. Clerk, could you let us know if there's anything we need to review again?
Yeah, I can set item 11 and 12, and we'd like to provide a quick update on the proclamation presentation this afternoon.
Okay, let's look at item 11 on the consent agenda, which is contract with Interfaith Works for Sandy's Flats.
Thank you, Dr. Jen Freiheit, Public Health and Social Services Director. And this was a follow-up to the questions around insurance for the elevator situation. And we have sent some of those, that information, and I can have Tom give a quick highlight.
Elevator? What?
Okay.
Nice.
I'm so sorry. Yes, sorry.
Go for it, Tom.
Yes.
We got it. No,
So this was Interfaith Works Sandy's Flats, the fire at, in one of the units. The
Yes.
emergency request was to cover the costs. There was a question around why they weren't accessing their insurance. We reached out to Interfaith Works and got those responses. I believe those were provided via email. Happy to provide additional information if I can.
I had the question and you guys did a great job answering it. I really when I read the email and I saw that you had already asked the question of Interfaith Works, I was like, of course you did. So yeah, no, I appreciate it. I did have some follow-up that I just haven't finished the email, but it's nothing that would prevent this. So the rationale, the understanding of the insurance implications and that, reading the article you sent, you guys, I answered all my questions very well. Thank you.
So the item is good to proceed, number 11.
Well, I mean, for me,
Other vote commissioners with
speak to anybody
questions
else.
for Dr. Fry or Tom? Okay, looks like we're good. Then item 12, also public health, is Healthcare Authority contract CJTA.
Yes, and I will call Shaylin Sowers up as this was a follow-up on where that contract stood.
Shaylin?
Morning. Okay,
So the CJTA recently met.
Yes, so they did meet on October 30th and they revisited the discussion about funding parenting classes and restorative justice dialogues. We are in the process of gathering some more information from fiscal staff before the CJTA panel makes a final recommendation to the board. However, we do plan to present the revised CJTA plan on the December 2nd agenda.
Will the revised plan include the parenting classes?
We intend to. So the revised CJTA plan would be re-looking at funding for restorative justice facilitated dialogues and parenting classes.
Shaylin,
I haven't had the final numbers quite yet.
Sorry to interrupt. Were stakeholders able to be invited to that meeting?
Yes,
Thank you for doing that.
you're welcome.
Someone remind me what the question was that, I can't really remember.
Yeah, so the item is taking the 1-year contract and extending it to 2. But in that conversation, the recommendation that, is it a board, CJTA board or council panel made, had some programs not funded. So there were some concerns about that as it was coming forward for the 2-year contract. The board already approved the 1-year contract back in September.
It was, yes, the plan for the 1-year contract. However, at that time, we had not gotten the formal contract from the healthcare authority yet, which they switched from a 1-year to 2-year. So now we're representing it for a 2-year.
So because this is extending it for 2 years, it was an opportunity for the stakeholders to re-engage with the panel and see how they could potentially look at the other programs that weren't funded and make some of those dollars shift around, and that's the meeting they had on the 30th. And it looks like they're making progress.
So certain things that were not gonna get funded on a 1 year, but might get on a 2 year level, or the opposite?
We're relooking at both years for for state fiscal year 2026 and also 2027. But we need to identify what those impacts would be if we made those adjustments. So we still have to have those conversations with fiscal staff.
To your question, it is potentially re-including folks that weren't funded, organizations that weren't funded initially. Positive thing for those organizations.
And it would reset it for both years, not just the second year, but for both years.
Okay, questions for Shaylin? Commissioner Mejia?
Thank you. This was my item. I had asked for them to come back after that meeting. So just really appreciative of the information that was provided, and I look forward to kind of seeing kind of that rework on December 2nd.
Yeah, we appreciate Shaylin's work with the CJTA and making sure that all the interested parties were invited to those discussions again.
A little nugget of history is that the only time I remember us really ever, like, there was the restorative justice dialogues was an item that at one point was, like a couple cycles ago, was like proposed to be reduced funding, and we didn't want to do that. The board set it back to the previous funding level. And there was it, but there were issues about, trying to get enough cases that are appropriate and stuff. So I mean, not that we wouldn't want to relook at it every time and make sure it's, the dollars are doing, but there was board interest in that particular program, so. But that'd be interesting to me, like, if that's shifting one way or the other, I'd like to kind of be aware of that.
Yeah.
As we go forward.
What we can do is, as soon as they hear back from the CJTA panel, we can send an debrief out to the
Okay.
board.
That sounds good. Anything else for Shaylin? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Madam Clerk, you said there's one other thing on this agenda?
We would like to just quickly circle back to the proclamation for this afternoon to
Yeah.
update you on the plan. So for this afternoon, for Native American Heritage Month, we'll be joined by members from the Nisqually tribe. Shay Squally will do an opening prayer for the event. Willie Frank Jr. will be in attendance to speak to the statue that's here. And we'll be joined by the canoe singers. Chairman Chris Peters from the Squaxin Island tribe will be here to present the board with a blanket and a flag. And we've invited several members of the Chehalis tribe.
The Chairman Klatush will be here.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Other groups invited are the Washington State Office of Governmental Affairs, the Wahilet School, Evergreen Longhouse, Evergreen Native Pathways Program, and the Washington Arts Commission, who is hosting the statue. And for this afternoon, we propose opening up the proclamation as normal, having the proclamation read out loud at the start, and then recessing for the presentations and speakers in the atrium lobby.
The comms team will video the speakers and the presentations, and then work to have that added into the meeting when it's posted.
Awesome. Okay, so it'll be pretty like straightforward in the boardroom, and then I'm assuming Ellen or somebody will be
Yes.
directing traffic. And okay. Any questions on that? Sounds pretty
It's gonna
exciting.
be cool.
All right, very good. Okay, so that's this afternoon's agenda. Next up is to do a first review of next Tuesdays, which we're gonna have because of the third Tuesday being the WASAC conference, and the commissioners will be in Spokane, so we'll have our third Tuesday's board meeting on second Tuesday, which is next week, the 12th. So we're looking at that, and 2 p.m. call to order as usual, pledge of allegiance to be led by District 2 Commissioner Grant, and acknowledgement approval of agenda. We have 3 consent proclamations: Veterans Day, National Adoption Day, and Military Family Appreciation Month.
Yeah, for Veterans Day and Military Family Appreciation Month, we have invited the commander of the local VFW Post 318, who will be here to speak. We'll also be inviting the Veterans Advisory Board and several other community groups. National Adoption Day, Judge Thomas will be here to speak to that and speak about the Family and Juvenile Courts Adoption Day event.
Ty,
Yes.
I just wanted to publicly say that, I sent a message out this morning, but just so folks know that, I will be virtual both today and for this, meeting. So again, I won't be able to lead the Pledge of Allegiance. I will be with treatment with my son, at Fred Hutch on those days. So I
Okay.
just want you guys to take over that if you can. Thank you.
Not a problem. Commissioner Klaus?
I have a question. Would it be too much trouble to ask that we take a photo for the Veterans Day proclamation? I know it's not a presentation. We do have some guest speakers, but I think that would be an important one to take a photo for if the board is up for it.
Sounds appropriate.
If you,
Maybe in front of the dais.
yeah, we can do a quick one,
quick.
we don't have to recess the meeting.
That would be great. Yeah, thank you.
Suggestion.
Thank you.
Okay, and then did you cover military family? Sorry, did I miss that?
Yes, we've combined the audience for Veterans Day and Military Family Appreciation Month.
Oh, okay.
The same groups here.
Okay, so, and then the speaker, it'll be covered. Okay, public comment related to agenda items, county manager update.
For this meeting, I don't have any updates at this time.
Okay. Consent agenda items, we have 1 through 11. The first is setting a public hearing for proposed ordinance to update Thurston County Code, section 2.108, voters pamphlet. We have an auditor representative.
We can come back to that item.
Circle back.
Yeah.
Let's go to item 2, interlocal agreement for regionally coordinated implementation of the Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan. 2025 update.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ashley Rice, CPEP Director. So this is an item for the Board of County Commissioners to adopt the interlocal agreement for the regionally coordinated implementation of the Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan. Of course, this is a collaborative effort between us and Olympia, Tumwater, and Lacey. The interlocal agreement updates and replaces the previous 2023 ILA. And that essentially establishes the collaborative as a framework for implementing the Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan. The updates that you'll see in the 2025 agreement do aim at streamlining collaboration on regional initiatives, increasing flexibility of work planning and contracting, as well as reducing scope of administrative tasks. And that's been worked on by the executive committee over the last year. The proposed budget for 2026 is $360,000 for the whole collaborative effort. Our share here at Thurston County being $90,000. The only financial obligation is for 2026 under the ILA. Any future years would have to come back through the budget process. So the ILA does not commit the county beyond 2026 in terms of that commitment. The ILA was unanimously approved by the executive committee for the Thurston Climate Mitigation Collaborative on October 27th. And it has been reviewed and approved by the PAO's office. An e-brief is forthcoming, and if there's any questions that the commissioners have, happy to set up time with staff to review those ahead of the 12th. We do have Rebecca here if you have specific questions now.
Does our climate budget, that we sort of carry over? I know it's gotta be probably getting low. We started at like 337,000. We funded this work. We funded a couple of very, very small projects. I don't know, is that still gonna be able to fund this?
So we have enough. We have checked in with the budget office to do the carryover for 90,000 in 2026. Beyond that, it'll have to be a discussion amongst the board in terms of the level of investment moving forward, as well as with the other jurisdictions that may be facing budget challenges in the future.
Why it was written to be non-binding.
And then I'll look to Commissioner Klaus. So I did the preparation work for the retreat, and I saw all of the different proposals for streamlining administration. I didn't see, like, I wasn't able to attend the retreat. Did those kind of get adopted, like what we talked about in our pre-meeting?
Yeah, I gave a report out on this last week and covered almost every one of those items, but for the
Okay.
most part, everything we talked about in that pre-meeting was adopted and agreed upon by the whole group. And I think they appreciated being able to free up some of the administrative burdens on staff so they can actually work on implementation of the regional initiatives, which is exciting because we have limited resources. So this will allow staff to do the work that's on the ground most important.
And you have a hearing this afternoon for the comprehensive plan update, and as the county adopts its own climate element and associated action items, becomes that much more important to free up time for implementation.
Other questions for Ashley? Thank you. Then we'll go to item 3, setting a public hearing on the Gorgas Open Space Tax Program application.
Thank you. I'm just looking to see where I tucked my papers on this. So this is an open space tax program application, and this might be the first one many of the commissioners have seen. So I just want to take a second to provide an overview of what these are. There was an e-brief sent out October 6th. But essentially, there are 2 open space tax programs. One is administered by the assessor's office. The other one is administered by CPED with board approval. And essentially what it does is it provides properties with tax reductions if they're maintained in a rural undeveloped state. And we have done analysis, quantitative analysis, and this is a very effective conservation tool for keeping open space in our rural parts of Thurston County. The current application is from Roland Cindy Gorgas and is for a property at 17825 138th Avenue Southeast in Yelm. They are proposing to enroll their entire 80-acre property in the open space tax program under 2 categories. So 15 acres qualifies for the farm and agricultural conservation land, and about 62 acres qualifies for the significant wildlife habitat area. So the board's approval would result in a 50% reduction in assessed market value for tax purposes. The process for these is planning commission review with a hearing before the planning commission, as well as board review with a hearing in front of the board. And that's in accordance with RCWs. So at this point, the agenda item before you is just to schedule that public hearing for December 16th. Go ahead and receive feedback, and then you'd be able to make a decision on December 16th or any regularly scheduled meeting after that.
Planning Commission's already done theirs, or there's?
So there's a recommendation from the planning commission to approve it.
I think I saw that, yeah.
So just a high level, this is property owner initiated.
Property owner initiated, it's really properties that don't qualify under the assessor's program. They have pretty strict criteria that's laid out in RCWs. There's more flexibility in the board's program to be able to offer this up as a conservation opportunity.
Cause like the basic principle, right, is that like they get taxed based on what the land could be. And that necessarily, we don't really want to incentivize them or overtax them if they're keeping it in conservation status.
Yeah, and there is a penalty if a property owner removes their property from this program. I think it's 7 years of back taxes, which is why it works so well as a conservation tool. We don't see a lot of properties leaving the open space tax program.
Any questions on item 3?
Thank you so much.
Next up is contract for expansion of Cohesity data storage backup.
Sherry is joining us remotely. She's actually out of the office this week, and then in person is Evan Hallmark, who is the IT network supervisor.
Good morning, Commissioners. I have 2 items for consideration today. Both have to do with our infrastructure, so that's why Evan Hallmark has joined for answering questions. The first item is we're requesting approval to extend our existing contract for our backup solution. Go ahead, Evan.
Yep, so we're going to be purchasing some additional space. Data growth in the county outpaced our plan that we had set up over the last couple of years, and that requires buying a little bit of hardware along with some associated licensing to handle that data and provide the backup services that we use.
Any questions on backup data storage? Nope, okay, go ahead and go to item 5. Contract. with
Okay, then
Epic phone line services.
the next item is, we have phone lines at the courthouse campus that are on old infrastructure, old analog lines versus a digital signal carried over the internet. And some of our lines, we've gone through and edited and removed all the lines that are no longer needed. The remaining lines are for things like elevator alarms and fire alarms. So Evan and his team did some work to identify a solution that would remove us from those analog lines because our vendors are either going out of business or are going to start charging us a lot more money to support those. Evan, do you have anything to add?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, so Watex supplies about 40% of our lines that we use for fire alarms, security alarms, elevators, and they're going to discontinue the service they're offering December 31st. So we need to transition those to a new provider. The other remaining lines that we're transitioning come to us from Lumen, and the new solution we're proposing saves about 20% per month per line. So it's a pretty big win on all fronts, really.
Yeah, great one. Questions for Evan? All right, thank you. Thank you. I see Auditor Hall's here. Circle back to item 1. She's ready to, this one is setting a public hearing for proposed ordinance to Thurston County Code regarding the voters pamphlet. Good morning, Auditor Hall.
Good morning. So statute changed in 2020, so the current ordinance that we have in the county is out of date. So essentially, we're proposing to update the ordinance just to comply with current state law regarding voter pamphlet publication. This was changed as part of the funding bill that went into effect in 2020.
Any questions for Auditor Hall? Anything particularly interesting or notable about these changes that we should be aware of? Auditor? Can you hear me?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you. Was there anything?
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I said, was there anything particularly notable that we should be aware of in the changes that we're gonna be potentially making?
The only thing that may be different is there's now a requirement to put statewide candidates on the primary voters pamphlet. That was a change to state law. We've done that ever since I took office, but it's really just updating the ordinance. We don't even really have to have an ordinance because we're required to by state law to do all of this anyway. So we came across the document when we were getting ready for our Secretary of State review. We always go through every single policy and procedure and ordinance as well that relate to elections. So that's how we stumbled upon this one and just simply wanted to bring it up to date with current statute.
Awesome, thank you. Anything else for Auditor Hall? Okay, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let's jump over to item 6, which is Public Health and Social Services. Contract with South Puget Sound Habitat for critical home repairs. Habitat for Humanity. Right? There might be a couple of missing words there, Mel.
Thank you. Jen Freiheit, Director of Public Health and Social Services, and this is the contract with South Puget Sound Habitat for Humanity for the maximum amount of $150,000 for the period of January 1, 2026 through December 31, 2026 to provide critical home repairs for eligible veterans in Thurston County from the Veterans Assistance Funds. And these repairs may include essential health and safety improvements such as ADA accessibility modifications, structural repairs, heating or cooling repairs, etc. And I have Mark Moffett here as the program manager to help answer any questions.
The only addition to that is there'd be a limit for each veteran of $10,000. So the minimum that we could help are 15 veterans with this 150,000, but we don't anticipate them using the max.
Questions for Mark or yes, Commissioner Klaus?
Is the amount 150 or 250,000?
It's 150. We corrected that last week.
Okay.
We sent
perfect.
the change.
Thank you.
Other questions? None. Thank you. Next item up is contract with Catholic Community Services, Drexel Shelter.
Yes, and this is a request for the board to approve the contract with Catholic Community Services for the amount of $51,738 for the duration of 2026 to provide shelter services for eligible homeless veterans at the Drexel House Emergency Shelter. Here to answer any questions.
So this is a longstanding contract that we've had with Catholic Community Services. We do put the RFP out each year, and they're the only ones that are responding at the moment. This is an increase per bed per night. They kept it at $45 per bed per night for the last 5-6 years, and they've gone up to $47.24. So this is a minimal increase, but still with the 3 bed nights. And to give you just some data from this year, each quarter we've provided shelter for 4 veterans each quarter. So 12 total for the year so far, equaling 235 bed nights. And the contract amount so far that we've spent is about $10,000. So we're not using the full amount, but we are, Catholic Community Services does do outreach to try to get more veterans in there to utilize that contract.
Commissioner Mejia, saw your hand.
Mark covered my question. I was wondering about the, how many beds were used. Thank you.
Commissioner Poirier.
On items 6 and 7, it uses the term eligible veterans. Can you explain what that means?
Sure, they still have to meet the eligibility of the Veterans Assistance Program for those funds. Characterization of discharge, they can be honorable or under honorable, but not a bad conduct discharge. They typically will meet the income requirement and the residents to be a Olympia resident or a Thurston County resident. We waive that because we want to get them off the street into a shelter. But the big one is the characterization of discharge. That's typically what we can't waive.
I hear you saying you waive that, and that makes sense. If you didn't waive that, how would you determine residence for someone that doesn't have a residence?
Well, we don't even look at that for homeless veterans. For the program, we have to see, a power bill or something like that.
For helping
repair.
I see. Okay.
Yeah,
Like
but
if
for
you're
this-
transient, you're by nature.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Okay, thank you. We're good on that one. Got another one? All right, here we go. Number 8, contract with Washington State Department of Veterans Affairs.
Yes, and this is a request for the board to approve the contract with Washington State Department of Veterans Affairs for the maximum amount of $234,000 for the duration of 2026 through December 31, 2027 for 1 veteran service officer at the Lacey Veterans Service Hub.
So this is a position or a contract that this board approved a little over a year ago. So the data so far for that one position, he submitted 191 claims for veterans in Thurston County, which the issues that were granted, so 191 veterans, and then of those veterans, they had 246 claims. And with WDVA, they put a value to that depending on their rating, but they put an equivalent of $1.4 million that are going to veterans in Thurston County based on those 191 claims. So this isn't a continuation. This is the first year it has been successful with a 68% batting average. So when a veteran service officer submits a claim, it goes up to the federal VA, and they deny or approve it. So our service officer, he's at 68% approval rating, which is fantastic for them. And so far this year, he's done 119 claims. It takes a while for the VA to approve or disapprove of a claim, so they kind of trickle in later on. So we don't really have good data for this year yet.
What was the dollar amount? You said 1 million something?
1.4.
Okay, and so in this case, though, this is money coming from
The Veterans Assistance Program. And so we had our, so this is, he is working out of the Veterans Service Hub. And when we were audited by an internal auditor in 2021, what he had said at the time is, as long as we are meeting the 50% or more of that threshold for the income, that they meet the criteria. And so the Lacey Veterans Hub keeps track of very detailed information about veteran status and income levels. And they're at about 60% meeting the requirements of the Veterans Assistance Program. So we're well above what that threshold was. Not sure if that's where you were going with that, Mr. Menzer, but.
Yeah, thank you. Anything else from the board, county manager?
Yeah, there's a department item right now that's giving Public Health and Social Services the authorization to kick off an RFP. I know we're not there yet, but the request would be, could we move that to department items since it's simply just the start of the RFP at this point? I'm moving consent items, excuse me.
On the same agenda?
Yeah, on the same agenda. And I know Shailen's here to just a quick overview of what the department item is, if we need her to do that.
Okay, well, we'll get there in a second. All right, anything else on items 7 or 8 for Mark? None, okay. Let's look at item 9. Setting a public hearing for non-exclusive franchise application for water distribution system Pioneer Service Company, Inc.
Good morning. Matt Unsman, County Engineer. Good morning, Commissioners, County Manager. Public Works is requesting the Board of County Commissioners set a public hearing for December 16th at 3:30 to receive comment regarding a franchise application received from Pioneer Service Company. This application is requesting to continuing operating and maintaining a water system within the right-of-way on Madrona Beach Road and Shaker Church Road. Their current 10-year agreement has expired. This water system serves approximately 50 customers. Next steps would be to publish this notice in the newspaper on the front door of the atrium here, and on the website so that we can meet the statute advertisement requirements.
Questions for Matt? No, thank you. Voucher list is item 10 and 11. Address there. Weeks of October 13th and we both see October 13th. So
Sorry, the
item 10.
item 10, the date in the motion should say June 16th.
In the consent action, okay. So we have June 16th and October 13th.
Yep.
Okay, questions on that? All right, the department item, County Manager, this is the one you're flagging. We have this request for proposal for behavioral health community grant applications. Question would be whether we put this on consent. Commissioner Grant, go ahead.
I think there's some value to keeping it off of consent just to let people know that it's coming. I mean, I don't know if there's anyone else's thoughts on that, but I mean, it's a good opportunity to let people know that the behavioral health grants will be out for RFP.
And we can do that, but we do heavily advertise in many sources and places to get the word out about the RFP.
So maybe a quick overview from Director Fryheit and why the request for consent.
Sure. Take it away, Dr. Fryheit.
Yes, so this is the every 2-year community grant. This year it's 300,000 coming from the millage funding, because that was the switch when we were able to move the TST items over to millage, and then the 75,000 coming out of treatment sales tax, so 375,000 total. And this would elicit proposals for behavioral health treatment and supportive services related to treatment. So that is, for example, 2 years ago when we did this, we had over 4 million in requests for 300,000 in grant, the community grant totals. And so now we're at that time again to be able to put out those requests out there, and I'll let Shaylin take over.
Yeah, just some additional details on this. With board approval, the RFP would be released on November 13th, 2025, inviting proposals for projects. There's going to be a legal notice that gets published, and then the RFP will also be publicized through our stakeholder lists as well as the Thurston County website. And then the proposals will be due on November 30th, 2025. And there will be a review team of TST advisory committee members and subject matter experts that will help score and review the proposals. And then staff will come through and present to the board the review team's recommendations on what proposals should be funded.
In early January for all of you.
So you have a lot of outreach work underway, it sounds like. What is the request for consent? Why?
To save us time.
You don't want to sit here for a couple hours instead of doing your work. So last time this went out, you received 4 million in requests, which means that your outreach is probably effective.
We feel so, yes. Yeah. People in the behavioral health community are very aware of this community grant and as an original intent of the TST funding. And so and with current federal times and whatnot, they're very desperate for additional dollars. So we do expect even more this year.
I appreciate Commissioner Grant's comments, but based on what I've heard from staff, I personally would be okay with following staff recommendation and moving into consent. Commissioner Grant, do you have any other thoughts?
No, it's fine. If you want to move it to consent, that's fine.
Commissioner Klaus.
So I have a question. It sounds like you maybe already answered it, but the process as far as reviewing the applications, even though we made the shift to fund a lot of it from millage, the TST advisory committee is still the group that's looking over them. So that process is the same. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Because
Perfect.
there is a combination with millage and also treatment sales tax too.
Right.
So we have the advisory committee members, and then there will also be some subject matter experts too. We're still looking to see who is available for that.
Okay.
So yeah.
Subject matter experts, is that like, have you done that in the past, or has it typically just been TST advisory committee?
Yes, we've done this in the past. So, and I think for the last round, we had Jason B. Mortensen from the Thurston Mason BHASO, and then we had Nate Block from the Resource Hub. And then I believe we also had, Frankie, someone from the therapeutic courts to represent. So we usually like to have the courts, someone from the community-based organizations and treatment represented in that as well, in addition to the advisory committee.
Okay, perfect. Is the group of subject matter experts typically selected by staff or the advisory committee, or a combination of both?
Combination of both, depends on availability.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, does the board want to move this to consent? It's on the.
I move to move department item 6, public health and social services, to consent calendar for this agenda.
I'll second.
Motion is second to move item 6 under department to a consent item. Discussion on the motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. Thank you.
Public comment, general public comment will follow, and then community reports from commissioners. And then we have 4 public hearings. This is for next Tuesday. And first is the consolidated annual performance and evaluation report, which is a housing related item, the CAPER. Yeah.
The Dr. Jack Bryheit showed.
Welcome back.
At the end of the year, we are cramming everything. All right, so yes, this will be a move to close the public hearing and accept the CAPER, which is the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, which is a requirement of HUD, Housing and Urban Development, and authorizes us to submit the report. And again, this is just a summary report examining how the federal CDBG and home dollars were spent in the program year of 2024.
Anyone have a question on this item? It's usually not, I don't recall there ever being much public comment on this.
No, and we've gotten none so far this year.
Well,
Okay, so then let's go to the next two. So the next two are CPED and they're the land use amendments that were being proposed. And we have a proposed item. I'll let the clerk talk. Well, first, let's just cover what they are. I mean, we kind of, I think, are familiar, but these are the public hearings on Martin Way land use amendment and rezone and Black Lake Quarry Little Rock rezone.
Yeah, so these are items that we've been in front of the board pretty frequently on over the last few weeks. So these are just collecting public comment on these first two items on the annual rezone proposals. And so for the Martin Way one, there was an e-brief sent on September 26th. We had briefings on both October 15th and October 22nd. And looking forward to hearing from the community on November 12th.
A lot of work and outreach on these.
With an outreach and work by the board.
Looking to Madam Clerk, we have a proposed motion related to this. Can you explain that?
There's a proposed motion on the agenda setting agenda today to waive the typical 20-day public notice requirement, which is outlined in Thurston County Code, section 2.05.030B3 for the November 12th public hearing for both of these items, the Martin Way and Black Lake land use amendments and rezones, and the permit review process annual update.
Okay, it's got all three of them in there, right?
And allow a minimum of a 10-day public notice requirement per Thurston County Code, section 2.05.030D4.
It'll actually be 13 days by the time we got it out. But the code, she's just citing the code. We aren't making this recommendation lightly. There was a miss on the deadline to get it out. And so the natural thought is, well, just move it forward so we have the full 20-day notice. Except there's been so much outreach and engagement. This. Yeah, hold on.
Commissioner report, yeah.
Yeah, just for all the commissioners, the chair jumped to the agenda, the meeting agenda with this motion here. But because there's been so much outreach and conversation with Ashley and her team, the concern is that it would actually create more confusion if we don't stick to the original timeline that's been posted. The other component is if we move it later, there's less time for the community to get their comments in and less time for the board to deliberate and ask questions of staff. And so we always want to give the maximum notice possible. The staff have been working this through for months. We've been doing a lot of great work. We understand that there was a little technical glitch on that, which is not ideal, but can happen. And so in hearing their advisement, it is our recommendation collectively that we stick to the original timeline and truncate it down to the 13-day notice that we were able to achieve.
Commissioner Hughes.
Thank you. We approve it for this date. So basically what was missed in that was just the publishing that goes out to the newspaper. But other than that, it's been publicized and we made a public motion.
Yes. And we're just going over the reason why so that there is no confusion. But you're correct, Commissioner, it's been published already. There's been a lot of outreach with that date. So changing it last minute would actually, I think, have the reverse effect of confusing the public.
I can just say that this is not something we've done recently because we're not missing any notices, but it's been done very frequently over the time I've been on the board. It's not super unusual that something like this occurs and we use this provision of the code. Commissioner Fournier.
We talked about this in our vice chair and chair agenda setting meeting. And so just so I'm understanding it right, the 20-day notice is something that is an internal policy, but not state law or law, so to speak. The law requires a 10-day notice.
We are required to post
So the
within
10 day,
days for
the 10 day
legal
is the
notice.
requirement. Thurston County sets a 20-day rule that, so we go above and beyond. And this one, our notice is at 13 days. So we've met the intent of the law. We're just looking to suspend our internal policy so that it doesn't throw off all the timelines that we've been communicating to the public.
Yes, that would be CPED's request to not create confusion with all of the outreach we've done, because
And the
legal
outreach we've
notices.
done is considerable. And
We've
we've
done a lot.
received a tremendous amount of public comment. And there's been a lot of back and forth about this. So that's accurate?
Yes. And there have, the Chronicle ran a little article about November 12th and these things coming up. And so I would recommend not changing it, because legal notices, that little small tiny print
Yeah.
that gets published is not how
Probably not
folks
how most
find
people
out
know.
about our public hearings.
Yeah.
It's all of the outreach we do to stakeholders. And so we've been doing that outreach since the hearing was set by the board on October 21st. And that's
So if we
why-
did not do this and we redid it and to meet the 20-day notification, likely the only notice that would go out to the public was a secondary one that would just be that legal notice in the newspaper, and they wouldn't get we wouldn't get the reach and the interactions that we've already established through newspaper reporting.
We would be scrambling. CPED would be scrambling to try to alert people to the change in the date.
And then the community would likely miss the mark on being able to interact with us as well.
That is our fear.
That would be unfortunate.
Especially because we are entering holiday season, so shifts during holiday seasons when people are getting lots of emails on stuff is even harder than, before you hit Thanksgiving.
So
Christmas
this is
time.
actually an effort to ensure transparency
Yes.
and open government.
And maximize public participation.
Thank you.
And if I may, we did confirm before including the motion on the agenda that the 10-day public notice requirement is state statute and the 20-day is county codes above and beyond measure.
But I think, and again, this is maybe a little bit of a fine point, but like when you say, I don't think it's actually suspending, it's like we have it, if I remember right, it's built in that we can use the 10 when it's appropriate. So it's not like we're suspending it and do like.
Sometimes you suspend the
Yeah.
rules.
No, yeah, we're not even doing that. Like it's literally built in the structure that if we need to go to 10 for a particular reason, it's right there. We're allowed to do it.
So essentially this buffer
We just
is
default to 20.
to allow for
These
these
situations.
situations.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's pretty well done.
And we have less flexibility with Nisqually Valley News than we do with the Olympian. If it's the Olympian, you can just publish it the next day. With Nisqually Valley News, you miss it, you gotta wait a week, so.
Okay, perfect. So do we have a motion then on this?
I move to waive the
Sorry.
20-day public notice requirement per Thurston County Code, TCC Section 2.05.030B3 for the November 12th public hearings for the Martin Way and Black Lake land use amendments and rezones and permit review process annual code update, and allow a minimum of a 10-day public notice requirement per TCC Section 2.05.030D4.
Second.
Motion and second to waive 20-day requirement and allow the 10-day per TCC 2.05.030D4. Discussion on that motion. Commissioner Klaus.
One quick technical question. In reviewing the code on municode.com, it looks like it's section E4, maybe not D4. Could we just double check that that's correct? I'm okay with everything we're doing, but I just wanted to make that quick note because it's written as D4, and I could be wrong, but I don't know how up to date this website is.
Are you checking, clerk?
Yes, sorry, give me just one moment. There are mentioned in a couple of places.
We take a quick little recess so the clerk can.
Verify that.
Let's just all stare at her.
Make
Could we just take out the D4 and just put 2.05.030 so that it covers the whole section?
That's appropriate.
Could that be the right motion?
I'll withdraw my second.
I move to waive the 20-day public notice requirement per Thurston County Code, TCC Section 2.05.030 for the November 12th public hearings for the Martin Way and Black Lake land use amendments and rezones and the permit review process annual code update, and allow a minimum of a 10-day 10-day public notice requirement per TCC section 2.05.030.
I'll second.
Okay, second on this motion regarding the 20-day notice requirement being 10 days minimum, will actually be 13, but any discussion on that? Call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries. Okay, and let's talk about the third item. I kind of jumped over it, or I jumped into the motion, but we do have the third public hearing regarding permit review process annual code update.
This is an item, briefly was sent out September 10th, followed by a briefing on September 24th, and then the hearing was set on October 21st. This is our annual permit review process annual code update. This is a development code docket item, so different from your rezones. This is an item that the board can take action on at any point in the year. You're not limited to just one decision per year on these kinds of topics. So this package includes general clerical edits, permit review timeline updates to align with the new State Local Project Review Act, fondly referred to as SB 5290. There are also amendments to the State Environmental Policy Act categorical exemption thresholds, which reflect recent changes in housing law and other standards. And then lastly, and that this is where we are receiving the most public comment, our process for hearing land use appeals on quasi-judicial land use applications. So whether the board continues in their role as being the appeal body for those quasi-judicial decisions, or whether appeals go to Superior Court.
Do the timeline again of where the board has heard these items, please?
Yeah, so an e-brief was sent out on September 10th. We had a briefing on September 24th. And then we also discussed it on October 21st when the hearing was set. And there was a decision to include all of the items in the package with a desire to hear public comment. But you as a board can just keep 3 out of 4 of those items in the package moving forward to a decision, or you can continue with all 4.
Okay, any questions on that? So public hearings.
I think moving the appeal process out of the commissioner's purview is a pretty big decision.
We don't have to make it right away. Right?
I wouldn't want
Here
to,
with
I wouldn't
the
want
public
to
has to-
group that into any global decision. I would, if that's going to be a decision made, my preference would be to do that and have its own, you know.
And we can do that because it's a development code docket item. You know, for efficiency purposes, we put them all together because they all have to do with permit review processes. And so there's a lot of efficiency there rather than having 4 public hearings before the planning commission and the board. But you can always pull it off, have separate work sessions, and still take action on the more timely items since they are trying to bring our code up to date with state law.
The board has that flexibility after the public hearing, after hearing comments from the public.
Can I make a request that under proposed actions for that agenda, we draft it as such so that I don't have to make it up on the fly?
It's up to the board.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to ask for.
Move to approve an ordinance adopting amendments to address.
Just where it says proposed actions, have 2 proposed actions, one that adopts the, closes the public hearing and then adopts the timely things that we need to get done. And then the ones that can have some more discussion amongst the board, specifically the appeals process. Have that as a separate motion.
It's fine. I mean, it's fine to have like language ready for if that's the board
That's
wants
all
to
I'm
go that
asking.
direction.
We also have both ordinances ready, because if you take that action, we have to have an associated ordinance that implements it, and we already have both versions ready and have been reviewed by legal.
It's just a matter of sticking the light language on the motion. I mean, it probably just means everything except the word appeals, right, in this motion.
We'll make sure to update. A lot of those reference chapters in Thurston County Code are because of the appeal piece being in there. It is sprinkled throughout.
Fine. then-
Yeah, I'm the one that reads these and like, I don't want to call an audible.
Yeah.
If I was to propose something after the public hearing, I would want to try to separate those things. And I'd rather do that in a coordinated, orchestrated fashion and then instead of me.
If the board requests, we can provide Amy with alternate motions for any of the commissioners to consider.
I think that's fine for just a matter of making these things run smoothly. Okay,
Actually, and Amy will work together to get some alternative motion.
yeah, I mean, especially since that's what the planning commission came up with, right? I really wanted to hear public comment on that appeal process piece, but we followed the planning commission recommendation, it would be along the lines of what Commissioner Fine is suggesting, correct?
Yes, and that's why we have already gone ahead and developed two different versions proactively.
Okay. That's the agenda for the, well, do we want to take I don't think it's gonna take super long to cover these last items. Let's just keep going. Ag Advisory Committee is next.
Morning, Commissioners. We have just a few advisory boards items to talk through today. We have received one application for the Ag Advisory Committee from Warren Neff. He seated to the vacant farmer position 4, and has been recommended by the Ag Committee.
Are there any other applicants?
Not at this time.
The only applicant
The farmer position.
for the Ag Advisory Board or Advisory Committee?
I don't know, I mean, are we just making, I would say that I am in support of that application, so I just wanted to mention that.
Want to advance this applicant?
Yeah, please. Yeah, he's a well-known farmer and out in the Yelm area, and I think he would be a great we need South County out here added, and so I think he'd be a great add to this board.
I don't know.
Is there any reason to wait on, you said you got you got the thumbs up from the committee?
Right.
Okay, well, I guess I would support that then. So we have, I guess, consensus to move him forward
Next week's agenda.
on the 12th?
Yep.
All right, thank you. Let's look at the Housing Authority. I see there's multiple applicants here that we've got.
Yeah, there are 3 applicants for the Housing Authority Thurston County Board. And I did have the chance to connect with Rick Chance, Executive Director of Hatch. And so they are proposing that Brittany Ferguson be moved from the seat that she currently holds, that's appointed by Hatch as a whole, to the vacant position number 4 seat. And the 2 other applications could then be considered for the position number 3 seat, which has an expired term.
Position number 3. Position number 3.
Has an
Lisa
ex-
Vasky's not serving right now. Or
She
she's
has
just,
an expired term. There was an email that we sent out to the board highlighting some perspectives that Hatch provided on that seat. And they were open to receiving applications, receiving the board's.
did she not reapply?
She has not reapplied.
They have how many open seats
There would be, there's 2 open seats
currently?
currently. Brittany Ferguson is appointed by Hatch Board.
And that's the uses,
Yes. Someone who receives rental assistance. She's no longer eligible, which is great news. And so they propose moving her to position number 4. They really value her input on the board and want to keep her involved.
It sounds like a success story.
And then what you're
And
saying,
then- Sorry, go ahead.
sorry, is that there is going to be another open seat coming up in the future?
There is a seat right now that has an expired term.
Okay.
So Lisa Vatsky's term expired in February of this year. She has been continuing to serve until a successor is appointed.
Being moved into Lisa's seat, which will vacate Brittany's seat.
Brittany would be moved into the open seat, position number 4. And so then that seat would be open, that Hatch would appoint to. So then right now, the vacant seat would be filled with Brittany, and then Ms. Vatsky's seat is expired. So it is open.
Brittany's seat's gonna have to remain open because it has to be someone that qualifies for public assistance.
So I have a couple questions. The position number 3, Lisa Vatsky is in right now with the expired term. Has there not been any application that could have filled that seat since February when the term expired? Do we know?
Right, we didn't receive applications until we did a recruitment in this fall.
Okay,
After chatting with the executive director of Hatch, they were open to receiving new applications for that seat.
okay. Thank you. And then my next question was, do we know if either of the other 2 applicants would qualify to be placed in Brittany's old seat when she's moved to position 4?
The Hatch director indicated that they would not be.
Oh, okay. So only one of those 2 would be able to be appointed into position number 3.
Correct.
And then there would be a vacant seat. And then is there a plan for advertising for that seat that Brittany will be moving out of?
That seat is appointed by the Hatch board,
Okay,
by the other appointed.
so they are responsible for the advertising?
Yes.
Okay,
We're happy to share their advertising for the recruitment and work with them on that.
okay. Thank you.
Okay. I mean, I know Paul Knox, but I don't know the other Erwin Vidalian, but it's got a very impressive resume. So I kind of would like to maybe reach out to him and see what his interest level is vis-a-vis some of the other I don't know, I think I need more time myself on this. Because these are pretty good candidates. Because I mean, Brittany and Lisa Vatsky was somebody that I appointed back in whatever, and so I'm just curious, like why did Craig's usually really on top of things, like why didn't we hear back in March that there's an expired term and that they needed somebody? Or that they had, sometimes they have their own recruitments.
I think they may have been waiting to see if there was an application for reappointment at the time. And then it was mid to late summer when Rick and I connected on some of the sensitivities around that seat.
There's an e-brief
That's right.
that I probably need. I would like more time on
Yeah,
that.
and I think that's something that should have been mentioned. The clerk did send out some background on situation here.
Okay, any concern with bumping this out in a couple weeks? Okay,
Do we want to move forward with Brittany? That seat? Or do we want to wait on all?
I think if we can move forward with one, would be good.
That's kind of what I was thinking, like, I think there was, and then we can have further discussion on the other 2 applications.
Would that, so if we move Brittany to position 4, does position number 3 get appointed by the Board of County Commissioners or by Hatch?
The Board of County Commissioners.
Okay, so we would still have discretion over one position.
then we'd be choosing Paul or Erwin for
Okay,
seat 3 if we did that. That would be basically saying we definitely want to keep Brittany regardless of what these other applicants are about. Which I think, I guess is, I mean, they like her and it creates stability, so I guess I could get behind that.
Yeah, she's been serving on the board, and so she's got kind of the experience and knows, so I would recommend Brittany.
If they want her.
Yeah, they want to
If
keep
they're asking for us to keep her on there and and you know, that's the success story aspect of it is inspiring.
Okay, so does the board want to move forward with Brittany today?
I would say so.
I'm a thumbs
Yeah.
up.
Yeah,
I'm here 3, 4, okay. So Brittany moves, we'll appoint her to position 4 and we'll take another couple of weeks to go. I'd like to reach out to the candidates for the other seat.
Absolutely.
All right, perfect. Let's go to library board issue.
That was just an update. We wanted to bring back for discussion the TRL appointments. County manager and I have been in contact with the Mason County manager and team there. And they expressed that there were no concerns necessarily with the Thurston County appointment. But they will be waiting until Thurston County makes an appointment for their seat before they address ours.
The email we got, I assume it went to everybody. What was concerning to me was that it implied that we were holding up based on like the substance of the like differing viewpoints. It's, you know, and it talked about, we think diversity of viewpoints is good for a board. And I would like to make clear, either myself or maybe with a letter that the county manager and I put together, I would like to make clear to the Mason County commissioners that this is not about diversity of viewpoints, at least my concerns and the concerns I've heard from some of my seatmates. It's more about a sort of a demonstrated record of this person not being able to work collaboratively in a group and being disruptive. And I think that's not just about advancing, you know, a wider discussion. It's about, I think it's gonna, from what I've heard, it could be affecting our representatives' willingness to serve and the ability of that board to work effectively as a team. So I do have concerns. I continue to have them based on all the things that I've learned through this process. And I just want to make it clear because it's a fair point. If that's what they think, that's a fair point. And I would never decline another county's representative based on the fact that I don't agree with their, you know, positions on things, as long as they were willing to work with the rest of the group. Because I think we have to provide that. The structure is a little odd and we have to provide that deference, but that's not what's going on here. So I just want a way to make it really clear that that's not Thurston County's position, assuming that my seatmates agree with me. We're not holding this up based on, you know, some sort of political or values, a difference of opinion.
Yeah, and Chair, we never indicated that there were concerns other than what the board has expressed regarding the potential conviction, but then also beyond that, even in our verbal conversation with staff from the other county. So it wasn't about, hey, can you select somebody else that is in more alignment or not alignment, whatever that arbitrary perspective would be. This is more about the items you mentioned.
I don't know how their commissioners feel about it. I'm not willing to advance the applicant myself, even if that means that ours is held up. Commissioner Mejia, and then I'll go to Commissioner Grant.
I feel the same way. I'm not comfortable just reading on some of the actions that this individual have taken in different meetings. I just don't feel comfortable. I moved forward with the Lewis County applicant, even though I don't agree with, you know, his perspective at all, but, you know, I felt that, you know, that's kind of what the board is there for, and that's kind of what Lewis County wanted to push forward. But I agree that this is not about values, it's about or political views, it's about the actions that this individual has taken when he doesn't agree with someone. He tends to move to the next level, and I have concerns about that. So I think I'm right there with you, Chair.
Commissioner Grant, did you have your?
Yep. And again, I will state about this, this applicant is somebody I actually have a personal history with. You know, he's from the town that I was raised in, and I am in agreement with Commissioner Mejia and Commissioner Menser that I won't be moving forward with recommending this person. And, you know, I would also agree that it's completely about the interaction and the collaboration and cooperation. And I've seen in behavior with this candidate. And so I cannot support anything that would move him forward.
Could I ask the board to sort of allow the county manager and I to prepare just a short letter, just clarifying that this is not about somebody's views about library issues. It's more about collaboration, like the things Commissioner Grant just said. Commissioner Klaus?
I would like that. I would be in favor of you working with the county manager on such a letter. I would ask if maybe you could send that to the board before it gets sent out to the other counties, just because I trust my my seatmates that if a majority of you have concerns, then we should act upon those concerns accordingly, but I don't know exactly what the details are, and based on the correspondence we have, it seems like it's kind of vague or, about recent allegations that I'm not hearing the board necessarily express concerns about, so I'm just a little bit curious what the specific concerns are, so if we could see that letter beforehand, that would be appreciated, but I'm in favor
It's
of that.
fine with me, okay.
Yeah, I don't know the details other than, we've talked about, but based on everything that everyone else is saying, I see it as prudent to slow walk this and figure it out.
Yeah, it's important to me. I mean, I try to maintain good relationships with our fellow commissioners and I just want them to understand that it's not, we're not playing some kind of political game here. This is like, I think more justified and I just at least wanted the opportunity to communicate that to them. Okay, well, if there's consensus on that, then we'll move forward like that and we'll circulate it before it goes out. Commissioner items is the final piece of the agenda. Nothing?
I have
Yeah.
one item, if I may. On October 13th, we sent the draft joint statement, which is in support of restoring the state impact fees for case funding for Thurston County, and we asked for any feedback you may have. I received responses from 2 commissioners, but we just like to do a last check before the letter is routed from Superior Court to AOC for their feedback next.
I appreciate that. So everybody give that back to you today, if they have something.
Yes, please, that'd be great.
Okay. And then I'll just say for tomorrow, if I could, we've got work session and then we've got planning session. I'm gonna be in transit to going to an insurance fund meeting that starts at 3, so I'm not gonna be here at all for the 10 o'clock thing. I've talked to some of the folks about, where I stand on different things, so you guys will cover it. Commissioner Fournier, are you gonna be present?
I'll be here.
I know we were trying to figure everybody's schedule out.
I'll be in person tomorrow. I mean, just letting you guys know, I'll be in person tomorrow, but that will probably be the last day that I can be in person for a couple weeks with treatment going on, so.
Okay, and then
I do think we should shoot for a hard stop at 3 though.
well, just to finish my thought.
Okay, sorry.
At 1:30, I'm gonna get to Richland so that I can be virtual for the 1:30, although my other meeting starts at 3. I can kind of fudge that if we're right in the middle of something, but I kind of need to be out close to 3. We reordered, I've worked with the Madam Clerk and the planning manager to reorder the planning session agenda so we can cover items in sort of a logical order in case I'm not available at the tail end. You guys can make that decision. Commissioner Fournier will be here to chair the meeting. But just so everyone knows that we'll be kind of, there's a lot of pretty, interesting and important things tomorrow and I'll do my best to be present, but I will not be here for the morning session. So any other questions on that? All right, then we're adjourned. See everybody back at 2.